Hey, Louis. How you doing, bud?
Hey, Jim. Good.
Thank you for coming on here today. I know it's a busy time for you and with a holiday and all those kind of things. I appreciate not only you being on here today, but leading our team, this particular team, communications team. As you know, communication is vital to anything being effective. So we really appreciate you stepping up and giving leadership to this team. You know, you were able to go to the strategic planning day, and I
hmm
think it was something we all kind of wondered, okay, what's this going to be like? Following that day, what excites you about this process as we enter into it?
I think a couple of things that really stood out to me is one, this is clearly different than some of the other kind of vision casting things that we've done in the past because of the coaching and the follow up that's involved with it. So I think this one has we have a lot of potential here to really make this into something that's going to be great for the church. Because of the structures that are being put in place in order to make sure that we're following through with the things that we're saying we want to do. And then the amount of involvement of people that were there on the strategic planning day and the way I saw people kind of go from this slightly skeptical, maybe cynical attitude to being really excited about everything and really happy with the way they saw things going was really encouraging to me. And I think should be encouraging to the whole church as well, because there's a lot of good things that we've put in place. And I know you've been talking with the other leaders about their goals. And I think it's all going to be, I think it's going to be good. I think it's going to give us some very clear steps to take to move into the future and to kind of re-envision what Heart of the Canyons is and how it operates and the place that it can have in our communities.
Yeah, I agree. I think, number one, you've been here probably longer than anyone, and you're one of the youngest team leaders we've got. But I think one of the challenges we've had through the years is not establishing goals, but having the mechanisms to really follow through on that. And I think this provides those mechanisms. I really do. Well, obviously, your goal 4, that's not in order of importance, but that obviously is just our 4th goal, and it has to do with communication. Why don't you kind of share the goal and maybe talk about some of the strategic objectives that you've put in place for the coming months?
Yeah. So really my job is to run the communication side of this, making sure that we are providing updates to the church, making sure that we're, everything that's going on is being communicated properly and effectively to the rest of the congregation and to the church body.
Mm-hmm.
So really when it comes to the strategic objectives of this, we're a little bit more obscure than maybe some of the other ones are, because it's more of a communication strategy that we're putting together rather than here's our goal A, B, C, D. But really what we want to make sure that we're doing with this is, one, we want to make sure we're creating some effective branding and recognizable branding for the overall initiative, because we don't want to just call it initiative because that's boring. So we want to make sure it's something that people can recognize. So they see a logo, they know what's going on. We want to make sure we're planning frequent updates to the church in order for them to be informed of this whole process. So that's going to be something that we're going to be starting to work on as well, is pushing out updates across multiple media channels. So utilizing social media, utilizing email communication, as many things as we possibly can. And one of the things that we're going to be doing there as well is video updates. We're going to want to do video updates so people can just hear from somebody about what's going on. And one of the things that we're working on is trying to find someone to do those updates for us, as to kind of be the whole face of our communications plan with this. And then we're also going to be working on creating opportunities for feedback throughout this process. So people who maybe have a question or opinion about what's going on or want a little more information, we want to make sure that we have the appropriate channels in place for them to come ask about it and not feel like they're just listening to what's being told to them, but that it's a two-way street and people can let us know how they're feeling, what they're thinking about everything. So that's really our kind of 5 top priorities with the communication strategy. Overall, though, the main goal is just make sure the church is informed, and in the know about what's going on, because we can do all these cool things behind the scenes, but if the church body doesn't know what's going on and can see the progress that's being made, it can kind of be a lot less effective that way, if people didn't know what was happening.
Yeah, and one of the outcomes of this and kind of outgrowth of this is that communication is always a challenge in our day. We have more mechanisms for communication we've ever had, and yet it's still difficult. And I hope, and I think what will come out of this is that we're going to learn how to communicate with our people on a regular basis for the long haul better. And I think that's
right.
an incredible thing. Obviously, one of my goals in this kind of reviewing this for people who were a part of your team. They needed sort of review of what you guys did that day and kind of reminded of where you're heading in the future. But obviously, because of COVID and different things of that nature, there were probably several people who wanted to attend that day but weren't able to for various reasons, work, or we had a couple of people who were, in quarantine because of exposure to COVID. Obviously, good news is none of them have gotten it, so those are good. But we didn't want to limit those who wanted to attend but couldn't for various reasons from getting involved. How in the world would they get involved? This is an area where they're interested. How would they get involved in what's going on?
Yes, they can send an email to office@hotc.church. One of the things that we're also going to be working on is creating a place on the website for people to come and give feedback, a contact form, things like that. So that might be another way in the future that they can reach out. So be on the lookout for that. But right now, if there's something if you think you want to be involved with the communications team, this is a strength that you have, or you have some ideas on what we can do in this area, email office@hotc.church and they'll make sure it gets over to me. And then we can.
Cool. Well, I really, really appreciate your time, man. I know that you've got a lot on your plate right now with work and family and things of that nature, but this is kingdom work is what it is. And, our goal in this whole process is that we can be one church in, multiple locations with the ability to grow beyond that. And that's something that's very important. I think you'll hear more about that in the structure goal of things. But as I've said after every one of these videos, our best days need to be our next days is what they need to be. And God's been good to this church through its history, but, we need to forget what's behind, reach forward to what's ahead. And what's coming in the next phase of ministry for Heart of the Canyons is very important to us. And this process, I think, is setting us up to be able to do that more effectively. So I can't thank you enough for the time and energy you're spending and helping to get this done. So, hey, thank you again for the time that you spent with me today. And I just hope God's people will step in and let's join together and work together for the glory of God. That's why we do this.
Yeah.
So, anyway, I appreciate your time, man.
Yeah. I'm excited. It should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, have a great day and enjoy returning those emails. So that you were doing a minute ago. So anyway.
Back to email. That's my day.
All right, man. Love you.
I love you too.
Talk to you soon. Bye.
All right.